Welcome to the Hollywood Persona Podcast. Here are your hosts, Mitch and Ant.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hollywood Persona Podcast. My name is Mitch, and I am here with Ant. How are you, bud?
Mitch, it is so good to hear your voice, man. We haven't recorded in a little longer than we usually do, and I am just like about to explode with movies and stuff we got to talk about, especially Dune 2.
Yeah, especially Dune 2. I have so many thoughts. Obviously, we've been very vocal on this podcast about how much we love Dune 1 and how patiently we've been waiting for Dune 2, or impatiently. Yeah, and it's finally here. You've seen it twice.
I have.
Why don't you just tell them ahead, like, about that second experience, what you did?
Sure, yeah. So I did a pretty big, as far as time investment goes, road trip to go see it in the, quote, world's tallest IMAX. It's currently the world's tallest. Who knows if that will change, but it is 101 feet tall. So it is bigger than the one in New York City, the one in Sydney, Australia. There's total screen area. It's not the biggest, but it is the tallest. So, and it was incredible. It's still so baffling to me. It's in a very small town in the state of Georgia, not Atlanta, which is the capital and which is home to several million people, but a town near Savannah, which has probably 100,000 people. So I just don't know how they're going to recoup their investment of $14 million to build it, but it was awesome. It's a 3.5-hour drive from Atlanta. Next time I do it, I will probably spend the night. I went down, saw the movie, and drove back, and that was a lot. It was a lot. I left at like 9 a.m. and I got back at about 8 p.m. So long ass day, but it was fucking worth it. It was so cool. Yeah. Yep.
And this is after you'd already seen it once in like a fake IMAX or.
So, man, I need to look this up. So no, not really. I did also see it in the Mall of Georgia, has a pretty large IMAX as well.
Okay.
And I think it's one of the official. It's not a, quote, Limax, but it's just not as big as that one in South Georgia. But I would say for most movies other than Dune, I wouldn't do that twice, right? I would either see it at either one of those. But this was such a big thing. This was such an anticipated movie. I really wanted to see it in both. And it was really cool. I can't wait to review it with you.
Yeah. We're going to review Dune 2, obviously later, and then Robot Dreams, which is nominated for Best Animated Feature. You can catch it in theaters right now. I'm going to talk about a couple of the foreign language films that are nominated that I've seen. And Ant has seen the new Ethan Coen movie, Drive Away Dolls.
Yep.
So one of the Coen brothers. So he'll talk about that briefly. And so we got some movie news and then what's coming to theaters and streaming and VOD. But first, something I figured out I can do is I've been uploading, obviously, to YouTube. You can go over and watch us and follow us on YouTube. But if you are a Spotify listener, if you listen to us over there, we have the video podcasts that are right on Spotify. So
cool.
You can be listening with your headphones, and if we say like, "Oh, look at this," and you can just pick up your phone and look because it's playing a video. I didn't know we could do that, but yeah.
And I will have a visual aid for the review of Dune. So if you're listening on Spotify, take a look at your phone when we start covering Dune.
Okay. And then the only other thing I was going to tell you is that our friend Florence watched When Evil Lurks.
Oh, no way.
And she absolutely loved it.
Good.
And she said it was fun, as she's a lawyer who deals with a lot of family law, and she said it was interesting because there's some interesting moments with, like, his ex-wife and his kids and stuff, and she was like really into it, like trying to figure it out how different it is over there. But any kind of job you have, you're always kind of looking
Of
for
course, right?
those things in movies, right?
I bet you noticed some things about the school in Teacher's Lounge.
Oh yeah. I was actually gonna post that today and just say how it's not very different from like something that could happen, although it's it would go down differently just
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
way
So I
they
ended up reading about it and watching the trailer, and I'm gonna go see it tomorrow night. To try and get through everything that's been nominated. We try and do that.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll be interested. I want to hear what you have to say about it when we get to it.
Yeah, I'll talk about it briefly. I won't give too much away, but
Sure.
I definitely a cool one to talk about. So movie news, Oscars are this Sunday.
Yeah. So I put this on here. Is there anything? Are there any categories or movies that you think could be an upset or that you don't want to happen? I know you mentioned something to me in text about you hope a certain documentary doesn't win.
Yeah, so somebody had said that they thought Bobby Wine, the People's President, is going to win. Um, I've only seen that and 20 Days in Mariupol. I have access to The Eternal Memory and To Kill a Tiger, like we're gonna tell later, will be on Netflix this Friday.
Oh, okay.
So I will probably have seen all of these by the weekend. I did not really like Bobby Wine, the People's President. It's definitely an interesting story, and I feel bad. Like, it's a story that people need to know, and I wish I had known more about it. But I
You
don't think
just
the
weren't too
movie.
crazy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the movie was done well enough. Um,
Anything else?
and
I'm hoping. I
yeah,
would love to see Emma Stone win for Poor Things. Um,
hmm
it's kind of a fact that Divine Joey Randolph will win for supporting actress, which is great.
hmm
Oppenheimer is a lock. Nolan is a lock, right?
So,
Um,
who do you think? Do you think it'll be Emma Stone or Lily Gladstone?
that's
The
it's.
Stones.
I know, right? That's funny. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna guess Emma Stone because it's more recent and
Yeah.
Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon came out so early in the cycle. That's my only because both performances are awesome, but
I know.
I kind of feel like Stone's performance is a harder job at acting. She is, she's really the main
Yeah.
character, and um, Gladstone's is more of a supporting role. However they do the categories doesn't always match up with what the movie did. But yeah, I think while Lily Gladstone's performance is great and she was awesome in it, I think if you held two scripts up to me and said, "Aunt, you have to act in either of these movies. Which one's way harder?" I think
Yeah.
Emma Stone's would be harder to do.
Yeah. I mean, I will be happy if either of them win. I'm not
Same.
too stressed about that because I like either of them. The only thing that will be stressful is I like to be right, but
Yep.
it's hard to be right all the time. But I try very hard. Um yeah, and then the writing screenplays.
Yeah.
The what is it's people on for adapted screenplay have it between Barbie and American
In fiction,
Fiction.
yeah. I'd like to see fiction. I bet you probably want to see Barbie, right?
I'd be happy. Honestly, I'd be happy with all five of these like winning.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
the
They're all
adapted
good.
American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Like they're all well written movies. So um yeah. Um so yeah, no, I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
and one more Oscar thing I want to mention. I should have maybe mentioned this up above in what we're going to review, but I
Mhm.
didn't. I finally got to see The Last Picture Show. It's a 1971, I think, 5 Oscar nominated movie:
Mhm.
supporting, Best Picture, score, whole bunch of stuff. Ellen Burstyn, Sybil Shepherd,
Mm.
Randy Quaid, Jeff Bridges, all very, very, very young. Um,
Yeah.
and it was excellent. It was presented by a film class teacher at a local college, and he did an introduction and a Q&A after, so I got to learn quite a bit about it. But yeah, it was really good. And I know that's one of those, Mitch, I know you and I both have these list of classics that we haven't gotten to. And that, of course, is one I've heard of. One of my favorite movie podcasts is called The Next Best Picture. And it's obviously a take on the Last Picture Show title. So yeah, it was really good. If you ever get around to it, I think you'll like it. It was controversial when it came out. You know what? It parallels, listeners and Mitch, a lot. It's very much like Red Rocket. From 2019, or
yeah.
2020.
Okay.
Small town in Texas, lots of teens and young people doing frank sexual acts, and it's just kind of a real showing what quote real life is like in a small town sometime. And kid has an affair with a teacher, and so on and so on. So it's not exactly like it, but the setting is the exact same. So yeah, that's the Last Picture Show from 1971. It was very good.
So I'm gonna tell you, I don't know, do you know what won that year?
Best Picture?
Yeah.
No, tell me.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you the ones that were nominated. You tell me which ones you think which one won. So Fiddler on the Roof, The Last Picture Show, Nicholas and Alexandra, A Clockwork Orange, and The French Connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
stacked year, except for I don't know what Nicholas and
I was gonna say I don't know what that is. I would guess Fiddler on the Roof won.
French Connection, which is surprising, but yeah. And I mean, A Clockwork Orange that's crazy, but
yeah, I'm surprised to hear that was Best Picture, because that's a pretty explicit film, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting. But yeah, it was good, man. Really good acting performances. And again, just to see Jeff Bridges, he's almost unrecognizable, because we think of him as the Big Lebowski,
yeah,
or Tron or something. But man, he had to have been 21 in this movie, because it came out in 1971. And he was almost unrecognizable, but you can hear his voice, of course. And yeah. And Randy Quaid, like, seeing him.
Gosh.
It was really funny because he's so young, and he looks, he's kind of like handsome and spry and not Uncle Eddie, like
that's exactly what I was thinking.
It was cool. It was a real throwback. It was a little long, but yeah, totally worth the watch. And it was a lot of people there. So that's Oscar related. So
yeah.
What's next in the news?
I'm just gonna go through some of these. The other thing I was gonna say, if you're listening, the Oscars, if you're in the States, obviously you can watch them on regular TV, or they will be on Hulu TV, YouTube TV, and another one. So there are streaming avenues available for you guys. If you're in Canada, you basically can only get it on cable, or if you have a cable subscription, it's going to be on CTV.
Showing.
Just on cable.
Oh, okay.
And which I don't have. So I got to figure out a way to watch it. It is streaming if you have like the CTV like service provider and all that.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'll be watching it on YouTube TV. I borrow a friend's YouTube TV for the SAG award show, the Oscars, and the Super Bowl. The rest I stream,
But it's like all these other award shows are making them available everywhere else so that they can get higher ratings. I don't know why the Oscars, who are so obsessed with getting higher ratings, don't find an avenue to make it more readily available. But
agreed.
Ryan Gosling will perform I'm Just Ken at the Oscars. It was literally just announced like 2 weeks ago. I'm excited for that. It'll be funny to see.
I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be really fun.
Kenneth Mitchell, best known for playing multiple roles in Star Trek Discovery and for appearing in Captain Marvel, has died at 49. Mitchell revealed he was diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, in 2020. Jesus Christ, sorry. He has used a power wheelchair since. I didn't know he was sick. I didn't really know who he was, but so his wife Susan and his children Lila and Callum have set up a GoFundMe. So if you want to support that. At the SAG Awards, Juno Temple, she has said that the third Venom film has almost finished filming. I hadn't heard anything about this. I didn't know she was in it, but there's that.
Okay.
This one is pretty crazy. I think we were texting about it. The budget for Gladiator 2 has reportedly skyrocketed from $165 million budget to $310 million budget. Ridley Scott is focusing on adult Lucius, played by Paul Mescal. Filming was interrupted by SAG-AFTRA, but most additional costs seemingly came from production. So, you think they'll make that back in any way, shape, or form?
I just that sucks. I'm really looking forward to it because of Paul Mescal.
Yeah.
He's made some interesting choices recently. He's been in some cool and unique and different movies, and I can totally see him as a gladiator figure, But God, that is a tough road to climb for that budget. It could hit. I mean, it could be like a Top Gun Maverick where everyone's like, "Oh shit, Gladiator again, let's go." Or it could be like a Mission Impossible, the most recent one, where it does just okay.
Yeah. It feels like the movie community is like excited for it in most places, so I'm so thankful that.
Do we know the release date? I'll look it up. I think it's summer,
Okay.
right?
Sorry, guys. Sometimes I just start yawning and I can't stop. It's a thing I've had my whole life. It's some sort of sickness. I don't fucking know. Oppenheimer has dominated the Screen Actors Guild Awards. Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. winning top honors. The cast of Oppenheimer took home the Best Ensemble Award, triumphing over other contenders like Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon. Christopher Nolan's guidance was praised by award winners, including Murphy and Downey in their speeches, and Lily Gladstone won Best Actress for Killers of the Flower Moon, and of course, Divine Joy Randolph won for The Holdovers. So that's like the last kind of big one before the Oscars, obviously, and then the Oscars are this weekend. Tim Blake Nelson expressed his heartbreak over being cut from Dune Part 2. He holds no hard feelings toward the decision. Speculation suggests Nelson may have portrayed Count Casimir Fenring in the film,
Cool.
a powerful figure close to the Emperor, but he is not shown. And there's another character played by Stephen McKinley Henderson, who was also cut from the movie. And Christopher Nolan. Denis Villeneuve, the director, came out recently and said that he was heartbroken from cutting this character out of the movie, but they did so to focus more on the Bene Gesserit sisterhood and Rebecca Ferguson's character there.
So hearing that now is kind of funny because of how Anya Taylor-Joy is in the movie, right? That's in the trailers, but she's in it for what, 12 seconds. So it's kind of funny to hear that even like with her being in it so little, even there was even more characters. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So box office, what do you got? How's Dune 2 doing?
So when do you think do you have an idea of when this episode will post? Sorry to talk shop, but will this come out before Sunday?
Within 24 hours.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So all right, box office, let's talk about it. So obviously Dune 2 was huge and it overshot projection. So it was projected between like 70 and 80 and it came in right around 82 domestically. And almost 180 worldwide, which is just awesome. But these are some really cool stats that I found about it. So it's the 8th biggest opening for any movie ever, right behind Logan. You remember when Logan came out? That was a huge, huge hit. And news was made about how this is a big March opening. And then just some demographic breakdown. So this is done by PostTrack. They poll people coming out of theaters. This is where they get the cinema score from. I believe it's done only in the United States, and it is spot polling, so it's not 100% accurate. But it's done on lots and lots of movies, so it's pretty even from movie to movie, right? So 68% of the audience of Dune was male, which isn't too surprising. But 54% was men that are 25 and older. The younger crowd, even though this is PG-13, didn't really show up for this. So, yeah, kind of interesting, kind of not too surprising for two reasons. I would say one, younger people are harder to get out to the movie theaters anyway these days, as is, right? Like they have lots of options between streaming and TikTok and YouTube. So it's harder to get them out. And then secondly, this is pretty dense material. You know, this is more dense than a Marvel movie or a new age Star Wars. Like this is pretty dense material. I'll just say it again.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. But it's still pretty cool that it's able to make that much money without having the, say, 13 to 25-year-olds really into it. So the next
it might
one,
be, sorry, it might just be, you know, something that I think they will discover like as they get older, kind of like Star Wars. Like, oh, everyone loved this, I should go back and watch this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so too. So these next two ones are really fun and interesting and kind of tell a little story about box office. So premium large formats made up 48% of box office receipts. So that means Dolby, ScreenX, 4DX, IMAX, D-Box, Prime, all the different, you know, Regal has their RPX, and there's every theater has their own little designator for their premium screen. For almost 50% make up the receipts of this $80 million. So what that kind of tells me, and then the next part I'll say, and then I'll tell my point. Next, IMAX alone was 23%. So the two times that I saw it were both in a IMAX branded theater. So what this tells me, I think, is two things. One, theaters need to make more IMAX and bigger screens. And two, that's because everyone has a good TV at home. Everyone has a decent sound system at home now.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
theaters,
and I kind of been thinking this and saying this for a while, theaters need to do more than just a little auditorium with some crappy old seats to get people to spend, you know, I've told you the theater by me, the ticket, just regular price is $19.20.
That was, when you showed me that, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that theater I'm talking about has no Dolby, has no IMAX. It's just regular ass screens. And it's like, I'm not going to pay $20 just to get in the place to see something where it's almost like what I have at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there was a quote from the IMAX CEO saying that they, quote, ran out of seats. Like, every IMAX screen was just full, and they just didn't have any more seats to sell tickets. So,
that's like Avery over at the Film Vault. He said, like they were talking about Dune 2 on their last episode, and he was talking about how he already had his like tickets booked, and you know, in Los Angeles, and the other guys didn't, and they're like, well, I have it booked for like Saturday night, and you guys might want to get on there because like seats are just gone, like especially at the bigger format theaters. So
yeah, City Walk, and I forgot the name of the other one. They, you know, LA has two huge
ArcLight
IMAXs.
or no?
What was it?
ArcLight?
Burbank? Oh no, I don't think the ArcLight.
I don't know.
I think the AMC Burbank 16 has one, and then the City Walk has an IMAX in LA.
They always bring up ones, but
you're right. They do bring up the ArcLight a lot. But the IMAX in New York City, which is I think the biggest one in the United States, Lincoln Square, Lincoln Center, it's called AMC. They were sold out real fast and are still sold out through its entire run. You can't go get a ticket to see IMAX in New York City at that theater for the whole rest of the run. It's all sold out.
Wow.
You know, because it eventually has to move out for Ghostbusters or whatever comes next. So they added, and I'm sure you saw the screenshots of the 3:15 a.m. showings, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, this last weekend, New York City had some 3:30 a.m. showings, and there was lots and lots of people there. So you would get out at like 6 a.m.
That's I don't know who would see that, but I guess people.
Sure, I would do it. I would totally do it. I would totally do it.
I would too. Oh, I would too. What am I saying?
I
work nights.
If I'm off work. Oh yeah, especially you.
Yeah.
If it's a Saturday night, Friday night, fucking A, I would do it. Especially if I was trying to see it and I wanted to see it in that big IMAX. So all right, so that's Dune. It came in number 1. It had $82 million domestically. Second place was Bob Marley with 7.4. Ordinary Angels in number 3 with 3.7. And then The Chosen, that TV series, the last 2 episodes was actually number 4 with 3.2, and then Madam Web holds on to the 5th place with 3.1, totaling 40 million for its 3rd week.
This is interesting. So Ghostbusters comes out March 22nd, and then
Okay.
Godzilla Kong X Kong: The New Empire is April 12th. So, and I think Godzilla Kong is going to take over a lot of those big format theaters,
For sure.
ahead of Ghostbusters.
Well,
I think
if you said March 22nd, April 12th, that's 3 weeks, right?
Is it?
At least 2.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah,
At
it is.
least 2. So
Yeah, I guess it is 3 weeks.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And that's about right. Like in busy times,
Yeah.
the big movies get 2 weekends in the large formats. Unless it's summer,
I would like to see the legs on Dune 2 because I could see it in theaters for quite some time.
Same. I don't know what the release is. So it's not Ghostbusters. It's got to be something else, because I think I saw that the New York one goes through 3/16, 3/17, so that would be this coming weekend.
Yeah.
And my calendar's not pulling up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh no, so that would be this coming weekend and next weekend, and then Ghostbusters takes over. So maybe it is Ghostbusters.
We'll see. Yeah. I want to see how that works out. So that other character I was talking about, that Villeneuve was really upset about cutting. I didn't realize he was the guy from the first one. He's the kind of bigger black guy in the first movie.
Tell me more, because I've seen the first movie a couple times.
Yeah, his name is Thufir Hawat.
Oh, the Mentat.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, so he was... Oh, that is Stephen McKinley. Yes.
Yes, I forgot. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. And like he's like the human computer, and apparently like he was supposed to survive and be in the sequel. Apparently he's in the book.
You're right. I'm surprised he was. Now I realized I missed out on him, because he definitely was. He didn't die. He was part of it. We didn't see him die, so he...
we didn't see him die, so I think we just assumed, just kind of how like we didn't see Josh Brolin die,
Right.
So it was like kind of up in the air. So he was the other one. And then just another little news story that I read about today and I almost forgot about. It came out that Villeneuve heard about this guy. He was end of life wish was to see Dune 2 before he passed. And he was Canadian, and he lived in Quebec, and that is where Villeneuve is from.
Yeah.
And so Villeneuve's assistant flew there with Villeneuve's laptop, and like, because they were not sure like when he was gonna go, and so they flew there with his laptop, and everybody had to leave the room, no phones, nothing.
Wow,
and this was
that's so cool.
This was a few weeks ago. And even the president of the United States wasn't able to see it before its release. So, but this guy did.
That's pretty cool. I love hearing those stories.
Me too. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of Dune, let's get to it. Let's review it.
Let's get to fucking Dune. Dune Part 2 is a 2024 film. It picks up right where the first film led off or finished, basically almost immediately. It stars Timothée Chalamet. Oh yeah, that looks good. If you're on YouTube, you can, or Spotify video, you can see what Ant has on his head. It stars also Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Dave Bautista, Christopher Walken, Leah Seydoux, Stellan Skarsgård, Charlotte Rampling, and Suhaila Yacoub. I think that's about it.
That's good.
Basically, the main cast there. Yeah. You started off here. You want to maybe discuss the plot a little bit? Remind people where it left off?
I think we should do this, right? Lots of people have seen this. Let's lift the spoiler gate. I think after a few minutes, we'll say what we both thought of it, and then
Yeah.
we don't have to purposely spoil it, but we can say specific things we want, because lots of people have
Yeah.
seen it by now, by Sunday, by the time they get this episode on Sunday.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like you said, this is the follow up. This is highly anticipated. Both you and I are really excited for this movie. As you said in the intro, I did get a chance to see it twice, and so I'm really glad I did, because it's really very dense, and
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. I give this 5 stars. It's going to be one of my favorites of the year. I think everything that he promised from the first movie just built on in bigger scale and sense, right? Like in the first movie, we didn't get too much of the worms. This movie, we get tons of worms. In the first movie, we get a little bit of fighting and action. In this one, we get way more. The special effects, the sound design, the score, everything is just another step up, and it's all done so well. As you read the cast there, right? It's packed with characters. And that could be listed as a flaw, maybe. There is some characters we don't get much depth on, just because it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. There's 12 or 13 characters. See the Eternals for how that's done badly. And so, we don't learn much about the Emperor or Florence Pugh's character too. There's a few characters we just don't get that much depth with. But it worked for me completely. It was really totally fine. So yeah, I was blown away by it, man. I was just blown away. Every scene, the scene where we see him have to do his test to become one with the Fremen. I don't have to say, although that's in the trailer too. The choice to use black and white when filming the Getty Prime planet. It's the world is just so built out. Yeah, the Harkonnens. They have a black sun, so the fireworks, instead of seeing explosions, you see these what look like ink blots.
Yeah.
And apparently that was shot on infrared cameras, and that's how fireworks look on infrared cameras.
Cool.
And you see, like, the second time I see it, I picked this up. When the Harkonnens are out on Arrakis Dune, they have to have shields on their eyes, or when they see the true sun, they have to shield their eyes because their eyes aren't used to that brightness.
Yeah.
And then the story, Rebecca Ferguson, right? She's his mother, and I really thought it was clever and interesting because at a point in the movie, I thought, oh no, like, I'm like, she's not. You and I think of our mothers as 100% supportive, caring, loving, but she's influenced by other things, but other than loving her son.
Yeah.
And so at a couple moments, I'm like, damn, she might get her son hurt or killed or whatever.
Yeah.
I loved the Zendaya stuff. I felt that their relationship was realistic, a little rushed, but it's a cool take on this normal hero's journey story, right? We've seen the one in movies like The Matrix and movies forever back to Shakespeare.
Star Wars, everything.
Yeah, Star Wars and on and on. But this one I like because it has hints and drops of it. I think Dune Messiah says this more. Following a leader like Paul Atreides might not be the greatest idea for a people, right? And I like that Zendaya is kind of like, I like you, but I don't like you being the Messiah. I like you as a person. I support you, but don't do this Messiah bullshit, and it's kind of cool. She's younger, so she doesn't follow religion in our, whereas in today's world, younger people usually aren't as religious as older people are. So it kind of mirrors that.
Yeah.
We're gonna
get really into that, because all of that, like, I really want to get into the wormhole about Chalamet and Zendaya's like relationship and what goes on there. I'll just say my brief thoughts, and then we'll get into spoiler territory. Yes.
Sure.
So this is one of the best movies I've seen. I can never get in the right words, but like, one of the best questioning of your faith movies I've ever seen. It is so well done script-wise in the way, because it has all these different characters, and like, I'm saying, okay, so Paul Atreides, everyone is looking at him thinking like, oh, could he be the one? Is he this? Is he this? And then have all these characters around him who are, one, obviously Javier Bardem, he really believes in him, and then others don't, and then Josh Brolin's character is kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Zendaya is like, well, we're going to do this. There's so many different people around him that are questioning and wondering and pulling him
different directions.
Exactly, like his mother and Javier Bardem's character and then he's got his family on her with Josh Brolin. Like it's such a great script and fully realized, and like those 5 characters I said, I think everything that goes on with them is just really interesting. And I was wide-eyed. I was like a wide-eyed schoolboy when I first watched it. You had hyped it up. The whole world had hyped it up.
Yeah, did you have a problem with high expectations? Because I tried my best to say, not tell you how much I loved it, but because so I saw it Sunday, and then you didn't see it until the following Saturday. So you had a week of people and critics. So it didn't set the bar too high.
No.
Good. I hate when that happens.
139,000 reviews on IMDb, and it has a 9.0 out of 10, which is one of the higher rated movies.
It has a 4.6 on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Which is really high for Letterboxd too.
And it's funny, I wouldn't expect it to be that high.
I know, it's kind of weird.
I can see a lot of people hating this. Like my friend who I went to the theater with, John, didn't like 3 stars, boring, like not boring, but like it dragged, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And so for it to have that high of a rating, I'm like, that's great. I think we're seeing people who want good movies and want to see good movies. And
and to be challenged and see something different, because this isn't like, a movie like this that gets high ratings is like a Top Gun, right? Where everyone loves it, young, old, male, female, white, black, whatever. That's typically what you see get high ratings and tons of praise. This is more like, I don't want to say like cerebral. Like there's a lot here. You really got to think about it, and it makes you think. So I'm with you in that I'm surprised how well received it was. And maybe some of it is just how impressive the special effects and spectacle of just seeing worms come out of nowhere, to gobble up people. It's just like, even if you're not crazy about the plot, that is so cool that you're fine giving it a good star rating. So yeah, all right, well, good. So we both really liked it. I think let's lift the spoiler bar. So if we say something that is spoiled, now you have your warning.
I wanted
to ask you, what did you think of Austin Butler and Fade Rotha's character portrayal, his Leia Sadu stuff? Do you feel like he was a threat? What did you think about his character?
I liked him.
Me too. Okay. I thought he was pretty intimidating and scary, and I thought it was a cool way how because in the first movie we see Paul Atreides do the Gom Jabbar test. Well, Charlotte Rampling's not going to do that same test to him because he's just too crazy and violent, and they can't sit him down. So they send someone to seduce him and give him the test that way.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was done really well. So I guess I'll say my only nitpicks, my only tiny little nitpicks.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, to me, Christopher Walken just stood out like a sore thumb. I don't know why.
I know.
But when I saw him on screen, I'm like, man, I could only see Christopher Walken. I didn't see the Emperor of the galaxy.
Yeah.
The second time, it wasn't as bad, but he just, right when I saw his face, I'm like, oh, that's Chris Walken, not the Emperor,
The first thing he said, there was laughter in my theater because of his voice. It's just who he is, and his voice is so iconic now, and I love to see him in movies. But,
right, I love him too. He's a great actor.
Yeah, and it worked near the end. I think when they were all in that room,
I found it room. Yep.
Yeah, and it was more like close quarters and everything. I found that worked. Sorry.
No, go ahead, because I'm just going to jump to something else.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
Austin Butler. I really liked him. He was definitely trying to mimic
imitate.
Stellan Skarsgård's affectations, and I thought
And
that
I
was
didn't notice that until the second time. Yep.
really. Oh man,
Yeah.
it was to me. I was like, oh my gosh! So he goes from imitating Elvis so well to imitating just like Stellan Skarsgård. I'm like, that's just crazy.
Yeah,
I
good for him.
I thought Fade Rotha was his son,
Whose
Baron
son? The
Baron
Baron's son?
Harkonnen. Yeah,
No, the Baron. I don't think we meet
nephew.
the Baron's son. Yeah, nephew. You're thinking of Yeah, you're thinking of Batista is his nephew. And no, I think I don't know what his name is, but I'm pretty sure Fade is.
Okay.
And if you want to fact check me while we're talking about it, go for it.
No, because I thought because I don't know, it was weird. I thought Austin Butler's character was like brothers with Dave Bautista's character.
They were cousins. They were cousins.
Okay.
They were cousins.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. And I liked how, speaking of that, I liked Dave Bautista's being dispatched. He can't get the job done.
Yeah.
And he has to kiss the boot. I thought that was cool. I thought that was really cool. I love how he runs away from Josh Brolin, at the end when Brolin's coming to kill him. Or maybe he doesn't run away, but he's not as aggressive as he was when he was attacking the Atreides,
Right.
It's fun to see villains get their comeuppance. Another nitpick was Chani somehow shows up in an ornithopter towards the end of the movie. All of a sudden, when Paul goes to drink the worm, the water of life, she arrives there in to revive him, because he dies, and he needs her tears. She arrives in an ornithopter, and we never see the Fremen having those. So that was just kind of weird. It felt rushed. His change, Paul Atreides' change from not going to the south because he knows what will happen to when he does go is pretty quick.
Pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah, he remember. Do you remember? I only know it because I saw it the second time. What gets him to go is, remember, he says, what was the name of the guy he kills at the end of Dune 1?
Jamin or
Jamin?
Jamis. Jamis, yeah.
So he says, tell me, Jamis, what to do. Because remember, Jamis has kind of been guiding him. He thinks he sees Jamis when it's actually Shani. And
right.
So anyway, that turn was kind of quick. It was just quick because he's like, I can't go south. He yells at Gurney Halleck. He raises his voice.
Yes.
And then just a few minutes later, he's like, all right, I'll go south and drink the worm piss,
Well, I don't think he knew
ahead.
he was going to do that, to drink the worm thing. He thought he didn't want to go south because of his dreams and stuff.
Yeah, right. He knew, and he was telling everyone else to go there, but everyone was saying to him, they're not going to leave you here. They're going to follow wherever you are, so you have to go. So I loved his use of the voice.
Yeah, me too.
One thing I was worried about from the first movie to this one, this is another thing I wanted to talk to you about, was, remember the first movie? He's so pretty boy, prince. We do see him fight, but he seems so not a leader ready for battle.
And very skinny,
wafy.
Skinny.
Yeah, but this one, when he's yelling, when he's giving that speech to all of them, I really felt it. And I'm like, he pulled it off. He
did pull it off. And because I rewatched the first one, and I was kind of worried going in, like, how's he gonna be a leader in this? I don't see it, like, because in the first one he's like mommy's boy. I'm kind of sad.
And remember when he runs up to Duncan, Idaho on the tarmac? Hey, Duncan! He's like, hey, my boy. He picks him up. He's just this little. He's wafy. He's like a little kid.
That's the thing. I also don't think we really know the timeline, that how you know what I mean. There's definitely a good amount of time that probably passes
during this whole movie,
but we have no real gauge of how much time is passing. It seems to happen quick.
So two things that will go to your point in their pregnancies. First, Lady Seydoux knows she's pregnant right after she has sex with him. That is an indicator maybe more time passed. Yeah, they have powers, I guess, right?
Because remember in the first movie,
Oh, he knew.
he said you're pregnant, and she says I don't even know
I barely know that.
I
Yeah.
barely know I'm pregnant.
But the second thing is her pregnancy, right? In the first one,
Yeah,
we see her saying, "I'm barely pregnant," and then in this one, she's now able to talk to that embryo, which looks, it looks like it's a few months old at
yeah.
least. So, yeah, I agree with you. We don't know the time frame. Um, what did you think of Anya Taylor-Joy's use and presence? Do you think she was wasted? Do you think she should have had more? Do you think it
So,
should have saved her completely?
well, have you heard about like her character in the book?
So I heard that she plays his sister, who
Hmm.
Jessica is pregnant with. Um,
Yeah.
Lady Jessica is pregnant with, and I also heard that Dune Messiah apparently is 12 years from this point. So that's all I know. What else should I know?
So in Dune, in the book, Lady Jessica has the daughter,
Right.
and like in the first book, and um
Oh,
at
okay.
like and she like is older by the end, and she's the one who kills Baron Harkonnen.
Oh, right.
Um,
I bet that
so
happens in the old Dune, the 1984 Dune, because I think I've seen
oh
screenshots of the
maybe
little girl with blue eyes in
I remember that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um.
Okay, okay. But so
So
yeah, so do you think she was used enough or
yeah.
not enough?
Yeah. I think anymore, and it might have been silly, like unless they were gonna do what they did in the book. Um. I liked how at the end you heard her voice.
Yeah,
A little bit, and so finally we can kind of hear what Rebecca Ferguson has been hearing all along.
yeah, yep.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
going back to visuals, the early scene where they're fighting in the sand against the Harkonnens.
Hmm.
The shot where the Harkonnens use the elevator things to ascend up that rock,
Yeah.
just some cool shots. There's just one
Yeah.
shot where they're like perfectly spaced apart and they're all just floating, kind of touching the rock to get to the top of it.
Yeah.
Sniper takes them, they fall down. Really, really cool visuals.
And
This, yeah, you
the
say something.
well, like the visual effects are incredible, but the fighting and the stunt work in this movie is incredible. Like, the guys popping out of the sand,
Yes.
the knife battle at the end,
I
the like
loved the knife battle at the end. They use no
yeah,
music and it's not long and drawn out. It's
and
just a
it's
minute long or something.
tense.
Really tense. I
Like
agree. I agree.
the everyone you can tell everyone who had scenes like that worked hard, and Villeneuve was obviously very like, nope, we are getting this right. We are getting this 100% right. And yeah, it's great. And then the visual effects are great too. Like you can tell there's even some practicals, or if not, the visual effects look really good. Like when he's
Yep.
riding the worm,
Yeah, that
the
scene where
way
he
those
rides the worm.
things lift up,
Yeah,
and
and you
you're
see its
like,
nostrils with hair in it. I mean, it's
yeah,
so real.
and you're starting to understand how they can ride them. Like you could never have done that in the 80s. Like the way like
No.
we get a
Yep.
view of how it works, you're like, holy shit.
I love that they took the time to show us the little sandworm, how they extract
Yes.
that water of life, because that kind of shows us the evolution. We see a tiny little one, we see a giant one, we
Yeah.
see how they behave. Um, just so well realized. Um, and the rumor is that allegedly Denis Villeneuve, the director, has been storyboarding this since he was a teenager, as he
Mhm.
tells it. Like
Yeah.
he's had it in his head, like here's how I would shoot it and do it, and it very much seems that way. I love when Paul Atreides uses the voice on
Yeah.
um
Charlotte Rampling.
Charlotte Rampling, and she says like blasphemy or something like
Mother
that.
Mahayam. Yeah.
Yeah, but she used it on him in the last movie very rudely. So it's like
Yeah.
take your payback.
Yeah.
Um,
And I love the stuff with okay, well, I'm gonna get into my main thing if you don't mind, like that
go
I
for it.
really want to talk to, what I've been waiting to talk to somebody about is kind of back to why I love the movie, but so I guess this is my only nitpick, but I'm also definitely it's been the thing that has made me think the most is Shawnee and Paul's relationship, that's Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya, they come together basically like it's actually kind of a good little romance, but
Yeah.
like very quickly
It is. It's
the
fast.
knife is wedged between them and they start to split, and it's what's that movie where it's like don't go down a path I cannot follow. What's that quote from? Anyways, so basically it's, she's just seeing the downfall of him, not, and that's what I'm kind of want to, in a roundabout way, I'm just gonna say it like, do you think Paul Atreides is on a warpath to become a basically dictator himself?
I do.
Basically like take the role of the emperor and rule maybe just as evilly as he was, or
I do. And I am excited for that because I really hope, and apparently maybe that's something that happens in Dune Messiah, but
Mhm,
yes, I do think that. And I
mhm,
love that that's a possibility because most movies, The Matrix, Star Wars, where there's a Messiah, there's a one. It's weird to believe that that is great and that is good, and we all should strive for that. But I
mhm,
hope Villeneuve pulls the rug out from under us and says, "You wanted Paul Atreides to be this leader. Well, look
mhm.
what it's caused: death,
Yeah.
war, blah blah blah." Right? And I hope Shawnee is proved right in her
Mhm,
skepticism and her being like, "Wait, don't do this." Um, but I think so. Yeah, I do. I think it'll end up being a tragic downfall, and
mhm.
maybe he'll be blamed.
Yeah,
But I kind of think he didn't really have much of a choice. Like, let's
I
say he
know.
said no to it, then the Harkonnens are still going to come with, a
And kill everyone.
force
They're
and try
Yeah,
and kill all Fremen. So he
yeah.
leaves, someone else does, or they have no leader, and they just
Mhm,
continue to fight these little guerrilla war tactics. So
yeah.
it's like it's and that's what makes it a good movie is it's like it's a tough choice. What do you do? What do you do? At least with this route, he can dethrone the Emperor, get the Harkonnens off, try to fulfill his promise to the Fremen that we're going to turn this back into a water-filled planet. Remember when he sees his sister? We see
Green
a vision of
Paradise,
him on
yeah.
Dune in the ocean coming up
Mhm,
against the sand. So, like, maybe, hopefully, we can get that at
yeah.
least. But yeah, your point is well taken, and I agree with it.
It like there was something inside of me that was just wrestling the whole time watching, because, you know, Rebecca Ferguson's character, Jessica,
Hmm.
she obviously takes on a way different role that I wasn't really expecting, and she becomes something very different. She's basically a whole other person by the
Yeah. She's not playing
almost,
the role of Paul's mom. She's playing the role of a Bene Gesserit, the Reverend
yes.
Mother for the Fremen.
And
Yeah,
everyone in this, it's a lot like Game of Thrones, because everyone in this movie
it
has like
really is.
different
Alliances or
motives.
motives.
Like
Yeah,
even so Jessica is like gonna is gonna basically be the new Bene Gesserit, like, or mother, or the old lady, or whatever. And then Javier Bardem's character wants him to be the Lias Gib, or like,
Lisan Al Galib. Yeah,
yeah.
Lisan Al
um
Galib.
Harkonnens just want to run the planet. Charlotte Rampling's character, like, she has her own thoughts. She's going to Florence Pugh's character and saying, no, we need to do this
Yep,
now. And
yep.
it's
Yeah, it's
there was
cool.
just a
Everyone has their own motivations. Yeah,
exactly. And there, honestly, it's like the way Game of Thrones was, it was like these houses and they all had their different things. This is like, it almost feels like each person has their own
own
different motive
house.
and what
Yeah,
they want things to turn out like.
yep,
um
yep.
so
Um,
it's
What'd you think? Another thing that I thought might was kind of a little weird to just introduce in the third act: nuclear weapons. I'm like, where did this come from? I didn't know that we had nukes. They kind of should have probably mentioned that in the first movie.
I think they did. I
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because I remember
Maybe he makes a
something.
comment like we're moving our arsenals or something.
I don't know. Like, maybe I just didn't. It didn't bother me, but I swear I remember them bringing something up about each different house has like a large amount of atomic weapons or
Okay,
something
okay,
like that.
that's
I
possible.
I could be wrong, but I had just watched it the night before. So like when I went the next
Hmm.
day, I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember that something about that." So,
Okay,
um
yeah, I could be mistaken about that. What else?
I
What else?
I think Javier Bardem, his acting was just great. I'd love to
He
see
was
him
excellent.
nominated,
Agreed.
even as well as Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
I think she is going to be one of our great actresses. Um,
You reminded me of something. So a
mhm,
pitfall that Denny Villeneuve avoided.
mhm.
So I'm going to talk about the humor in this movie. There are some great
Yes.
little laughter points where I'm sure
Oh
your theater
yeah.
laughed, mine did too. Speaking
Yeah.
of Javier Bardem, but then the director could have easily gone the Marvel route and done the whole. Well, that just happened,
Oh
and
god. Yeah.
the awkward like Marvel humor,
Yeah.
which now is kind of cringe because we've seen it so many times. But right,
Yeah.
that could have so easily been in here, and it's not. It's
But
not at
it's
all.
smart humor,
Yes,
like because we are laughing at Javier Bardem
blind faith.
because yeah, and just I think his acting, the way he acted that was so good. Like he could have, yeah, and his blind faith and like, and now the memes like about him, like, doing a card trick and he's like, oh my god. um
Yeah.
so yeah, and I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying about the humor that could have been in this and that wasn't, thank God.
there is like zero humor in the first one, and then I was so shocked to see how much humor was in this one. I laughed
Yeah,
quite a bit.
me too, me too. The first one I remember one joke from Jason Momoa when he says, "Did you put on some muscle?" And he's like, "I did." And he's like, "No, no,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding."
Yeah,
There's
I do
that.
remember that.
But yeah, there's not too many, not too
Yeah.
many. And the movie didn't need it. It doesn't need to be filled with jokes and humor, but I was just relieved because, like things in blockbuster filmmaking get shared and spread across, and
Mhm.
that Marvel humor, which is fine in its own application, could have been so dumb here. Just think like if I'm thinking of a Marvel, like at the beginning of the Avengers, Age of Ultron, when they're like flying through the woods and Cap says like language, and
Yeah,
Iron
oh
Man's like,
yeah.
did he
Yeah.
just say language? That would have sounded so bad in this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't do that.
That's the thing is though, is like this movie doesn't have those quick cuts and quick edits. It's sweeping
Yeah,
shots and well edited and beautiful, and like the war scenes like near the end are just so well done.
yeah, man.
Um
How about the scene where they take down the spice harvester with the rocket launcher? So well done from start to
yeah.
finish. They're
Yeah.
using the legs of the machine as cover. The
Yeah.
shield, they have to take
Very
into the
good.
account the shield. They can only
Mhm.
shoot a rocket at it when it shields down so that they can shoot bullets out.
Mhm.
And, the guy sees her and he doesn't know that the rocket is almost already there. So he's about to shoot. And then, of course, she had already shot the rocket. It's like perfect timing. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it
just so,
was.
so well shot.
God, those guns they were using from the helicopter reminded me of like Call of Duty, the way they were just like,
Yeah. Yep.
like like
Yeah.
they
The like,
basically
it has like a
spread
spread,
shot.
like a
Yeah, yeah,
shotgun
spread
spread.
shots.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, okay, I shouldn't say too much more. I have this weird like, I know like obviously this came out years before 9/11 happened, but I have this like weird 9/11 thing in my head that I can't get out because it's like kind of the way like 9/11 happened and then the way like George Bush reacted, but and then like we're immediately going to go to war, and
Yeah.
and then like and so the way that Paul Atreides at the end, he's like, well, we're going to go to war against every house.
All the houses.
and
Yeah.
and I'm like, I was kind of like, whoa, what, really, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like it just felt like it just like kind of was like George Bush like went through my head
And
there. I
I
was
don't
so
think I don't think that's I don't think that's unintentional because this was written. The original book, right, was written around the '60s when America's imperialism for oil was
yeah.
like really, really ramping up, and we were going to the Middle East. Spice, oil, deserts, Middle
Right.
East. It's very
Okay.
there's lots of parallels. So
Yeah.
yeah, you feeling that way is
It
kind
felt
of intentional.
very like political, like, okay, we've done this, now we're gonna move on and take everything now. And it's like, oh, well,
Right, right.
so
You're like, wait, wait, hold on. Just
But
like, yeah, we were attacked, but we somehow invaded Iran.
yeah,
It's like, but weren't the guys from Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan? Like, hold on.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got the Barons, the Harkonnens now, but you know what? Let's go
fight
over
the rest of the
here. Let's go
galaxy.
over to these other worlds. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
we could talk another hour.
I know.
But
I think that's probably about it. I think we've hit an hour already, so we should
yeah,
probably move on.
yeah,
Yeah, we both loved it. I
5
gave it 5
stars.
stars. I will probably see it again. I have poked my head
Me too.
into a few screenings already when I'm at the theater early or leaving from another movie. It's just great. It's just great, and I'm so glad that it's doing so well, so that we will get a third movie. Villeneuve said he will make a third one. Who knows how long we're gonna have to wait though? It's probably gonna be.
He has like 3 movies on the horizon. Cleopatra being one of them. So
I just want Dune.
I know, but I think he's hoping that characters age anyways.
Right, there is that they have to deal with. How would the baby be? Yeah.
I don't think he's too stressed. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So good. All right, so let's move on.
Yes.
The next ones we're just going to talk about kind of briefly. So, you want to do Robot Dreams since we've both seen that?
Yes. So, Robot Dreams is nominated for Best Animated Feature. Kind of a surprise one over some of the other movies like Suzumi and
yeah, it was a surprise.
There was and then like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't get nominated. So it's like, I gotta see what all this is about. We both went and saw it in theaters separately. It is playing if you can find it now around you.
Yeah, so I saw it in theaters tonight with a pretty full crowd, and I think it was only showing one time because, like I told you, I can't see it tomorrow. So I think that's why the crowd was full. But the interesting part about this that I wanted to mention to you about who made it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to fact check this right now. From the production logo, Canal, that is always a French production company that funds a French movie. You've seen the Canal logo, right?
Yep.
So I think this movie was made by a Spanish, like Mexican or Spanish / French person. Yet it is set in 1985 New York City. And it feels as American as New York City does. So interesting that is its makers. There's no dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
And there's little pieces of it, but nobody talks to another character. They're
which is
a choice.
Excuse me, very reminiscent of like my childhood because a lot of French stuff would be made without dialogue, so it could be like
used
it could
everywhere.
go Canada wide, and it would be like kind of very, similar to this. So I was a little it reminded me of like kind of my youth.
So the story is this cute little dog, lonely, lives in an apartment, New York City, 1985. We see the Twin Towers a lot. That's a very nice little nostalgia plug. Every time you see those, it's like, oh man, you can't help but think about it. And he gets a toy robot in the mail to cure his loneliness, and they become quick friends and have a lot of fun adventures. But then they go swimming.
I think you're like, hold on. This is a full grown dog. He's autonomous. He is I think people in their minds are thinking something different. Like he is, like he owns an apartment. He's making dinner.
He's like 25 or 30 living on his own.
And then the robot is like a robot he puts together and is like actually bigger than him. And wouldn't
be possible in 1985. Like it's a robot we can't even have today yet.
But basically, we're in a Zootopia-like world where all the animals, all the people are animals.
Yep.
And yeah, sorry. So continue. I just wanted to.
So I appreciate you clarifying that because he's a full-grown adult living in his own apartment, lonely.
Very lonely.
The rest of the world is populated by all different types of animals. We see pigs, raccoons, monkeys, rabbits, everything. And they're not all one type, like rabbits aren't Mexicans, and it's like it's all just a world of animals, like you said, Zootopia. He gets the robot, they have these fun adventures, and they go to the beach, take some swimming, they go and they fall asleep on the beach, and then when they wake up, the robot has rusted, so he can't move. And this poor little thing, like Mitch said, he can't move it. It's too big. It's way bigger than him, way heavier. He can't move him, so he has to go home to try and come back the next day. Comes back the next day, beach is closed until June 1st, which I'm like, June 1st, come on. So he has to go without his robot. Robot has to go without his friend, and that's where the movie starts from. So, how did you see this movie, and what did you think about it? You watched it at home?
No, I saw it in theaters. And I really like enjoy this. It's like a 4-star.
I would agree.
A 4-star movie, it's not like amazing, blow you out of the water. And I think where it ends up going, obviously we're not going to spoil anything here, but where it ends up going is very surprising.
Yep.
It definitely deals with themes of loneliness, depression,
Yes.
relationships, different kinds of relationships, which I don't even know if it's like necessarily a kids movie.
I was just gonna say, this is not for kids. Kids can watch this.
Yeah,
but this is introspective. It is deep. It is
kids
for
aren't gonna.
adults.
Yeah, kids are not gonna get out of it what we get out of it. Like the last half an hour, the last act is like would totally. The kids would just be kind of like, "What's going on?" Like it's basically like a love story in a lot of ways, and
It
it's
is, yeah. Like the line between love and friendship is blurred here.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're dogs, they're not men or women or because they're animals. It doesn't matter. Like, but there's there could be a viewing of this movie from saying these are lovers and a married couple, or you could view this and say they're just really close friends because they both needed each other.
Yeah.
I also like this a lot. It was really good. A lot of people in my theater were crying at certain points. I actually think this should win for Best Animated.
Yeah, it won't, but I think Boy and the Heron and Spider-Verse is so well done.
Oh, Spider-Verse. Oh yeah, actually, sorry, I forgot about Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse should win, but this is a really good entry. And actually, I like this a lot better than Boy and the Heron. And I know that movie didn't work for me as much as it did other people. But it's just, I think the coolest part about this movie to me was the detail in the animation, just how good it is, and how when the dog is walking from his apartment, say, to the beach, you're in this world with detail. The
so
bus
much
signs,
going on.
the shops, all the characters have little quirks. Like the monkey has a gold tooth that shines. You know, that just shows us what kind of character is. And the monkey is someone with a what do they call those things? Metal detector. He roams the beach with a metal detector, and so he has all this accessories and accoutrement of things he's found on the beach. As those guys that do metal detecting usually do. And so that was what was most impressed me, was like just how beautiful the animation was, how much detail they cared in the park benches, the signs on the walls, the Heinz ketchup label, the collar he wears, the TV stuff he watches. It's just
the TV dinners, the bubbling, even like watching from the microwave. I was like entertained. It's kind of like a Bob's Burgers animation almost.
Yeah, good call.
In some
I was
ways,
trying to pinpoint it, and it's very Bob's Burger, but sharper.
Sharper
and more fine-tuned, like nicer, more aesthetically nicer looking.
Aesthetically pleasing, more aesthetically pleasing,
Bob's Burgers has some like sharper edges, and this is everything's kind of rounded and soft. I loved there's a scene in here, this isn't a spoiler, there's a scene where you see they watch the Wizard of Oz at one point, and it's cool to see the Wizard of Oz in other movies, and there is the Twin Towers, symbolizing his home city, New York, instead of instead of Oz in the movie The Wizard of Oz. So that was really cool. There's a sunflower dance kind of scene that was just really just beautiful to watch. I'm just like, it's washing over me. Like, this is just so nice to look at. But I wanted to tell you one annoying thing that I know Anderson from the Film Vault podcast hates too. Is he did?
Mm-hmm.
I hate when people laugh, like fake laugh, or like do little tiny like like stupid, like laughing at stuff that isn't even funny.
Right.
It's a me problem, and I actually moved my seat because I was like, these people behind me are so.
I thought you were talking about in the movie, but you're saying people laughing.
Yes, people in the crowd laughing at like okay, he's opening the robot with using the razor to open the box, and you start putting it together, and like just him like reading the instruction and maybe like hitching up his pants or like drinking from the straw and it makes the like slurping sound, like,
Yeah.
and they're like,
Yeah.
and then a few people behind me like, oh, like just stupid little laughs. Like, shut the fuck up! It's not funny.
You
So
know
I got
what?
up and I
You
moved.
know what that is? That is two people who are on a date or don't know each other well enough,
Maybe,
and they're
yeah.
nervous. I don't know. Why am I sticking up for them? I don't care.
No, you're
Fuck them.
probably right. No, you're right, and I should feel bad because they're just happier than I am, and let them laugh and like let them enjoy what they're enjoying. Why do I care?
Yeah.
But it bothered me, so I had to mention it.
In that theater, you are the dog and they are the couple across the street that are really happy and holding hands and in love, and the dog watching them.
So speaking of that, and then we can move on. The only problem I kind of had, I had this thought a few times watching. I was a little annoyed with our main character and felt like he
Me too.
was kind of a bit of a loser or a spoil sport or a sad sack. It's like, if you're that lonely, then go make some friends. I've been lonely somewhat recently. That's why I moved back to Atlanta.
That's why we have this podcast.
I'm not afraid to admit it. I was feeling lonely and isolated up in Chicago because I had no more family. Friends got married and had kids, and I was in my 30s and with no kids. So like, I was feeling it. I was feeling like this dog. So I made a change. I moved to Atlanta, got back to a friend group I have here, do this podcast with Mitch. So there's a few points where he needs to either go see a doctor and get on some medication, or try. He just needs to try harder. When he goes skiing, he sees an ad in the paper that says like, make friends by going to the Catskills and go skiing, and he just goes bundled up and not ready to make a friend. And he does make a friend with a duck a little later on, and that's sweet. But yeah, just a minor nitpick where I'm like, come on, you got to try a little harder, dude.
But I guess I saw it as him getting better and better and better as the movie goes on. Like little things. And also, the one other thing I'm gonna say is like, I don't want to be all like woke or whatever. I'm sorry, but
here we go.
I know, but I did kind of like love how it was just very generic. We don't know what sex anyone is.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
It's different animals with different animals. It's like a robot and a dog, and it's like we don't know if they're banging, but it's
or how they even would. Yeah, no,
right.
I agree with you. I wouldn't call that woke. I think that's a smart choice so that everyone can relate to it, right?
Yes.
If you're gay or trans or whatever, you can relate because we don't know what they are.
And in my head, I felt like they were a gay couple. I thought they are gay. But then I listened to the Film Vault today, and they're like, oh yeah, so this is like the female dog, and and I'm like, what? That's not how I read it.
See, and that's perfect. That's perfect.
It is. I think this is a movie that when it's on streaming, if you're cooking or something or eating, or just throw it on, and I can guarantee that you will be very engaged, and by the end you'll be sitting there like, okay, I love this. So
yeah, and you can watch it with kids. There's nothing offensive in it, but they just might not enjoy it or get much out of it. But yeah, it's really good.
It was weird when the Twin Towers were hit at the end, though. I don't know why they made that decision. I don't understand.
When the blood shot out of the robot's head as they pulled him apart from all sides.
Yeah, that was all a little weird. But
so it won an award at the Cannes Film Festival. I can't remember which one. Maybe Best Animated or something. But yeah, that's called Robot Dreams. It's 2023 and it's nominated for Best Animated. So let's move on.
Yeah, sorry. Do you want to save movies, or what do you want to do?
No, I think we should we could save The Teacher's Lounge because I'm going to see it tomorrow night.
Okay. I will just say then that EO Capitano, it is available to watch in certain theaters. It is a harrowing foreign language film about two young Senegalese children.
Yeah, that sounds right. Soccer players?
No, they're not soccer players. They just want to leave. Workers. I don't even know what they do, but they're just like they're in their like maybe like early 20s, and they want to leave to go over to Italy and Europe, or maybe even the States, and they got to take this journey, and it is rife with
danger?
yeah, the next time you want to complain about anything, watch, think of this movie. It
I
reminded
like
me,
reminders like that. I like being
yeah,
reminded of how easy I have it.
and it reminded me a lot of how I felt watching Society of the Snow,
Cool.
another movie up for foreign language film, and they aren't so dissimilar. This one is definitely, obviously, a lot broader. It starts with them in Senegal, and then the one son, he goes to his mother and he says, like, I want to leave, mom, I want to leave, and she just starts crying. She's like, how dare you even think about
Hmm.
going, and you're not gonna leave me. And then the kid's like, never mind, I was just kidding, mom, I was just kidding. And she's like, no, you're not, I know you're not. And then they end up leaving like a week later.
Mm.
And he feels really bad. And they've saved up all this money. They actually talk a little bit about wanting a music career, like hoping to go to the States and have a music career. You see them kind of making some music,
Working on
but
that. Yeah.
the trip um is yeah, scary. People die. There's a lot of shady people, a lot of people trying to make money off
Hmm.
of these very desperate people.
Yep.
And it's very sad to think that we live in a world where this is like something like this. Like, these people just want to go to Italy.
Yeah.
Why do they got to traverse the desert to, you know what I mean? I don't get it. I mean, you do get it. And apparently
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is based on several stories, um it like a mishmash of like different events and actual stories that the director compiled. So
Okay.
um
I'm gonna try
I
and
don't
see this before the Oscars.
it's very good, I
I'm
think.
gonna watch. I have it at home. I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, all right,
So
so
that's Io Capitano.
yeah, I'm 4.5 stars on it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Okay. All right.
so yeah.
All right. And then I just want to briefly mention Drive Away Dolls. This is the Ethan Coen. So the Coen brothers are working on their own projects. We saw Joel Coen make The Tragedy of Macbeth last year, 2 years ago. And now this is Ethan Coen's standalone called Drive Away Dolls. Has a pretty cool cast. Beanie Feldstein, Margaret Qualley, um, some other Coen staples. It just doesn't work. I actually had a hard time getting through this. I left the first time, not really because I was bored, but I had a friend of mine called. They were nearby, and I'm like, all right, I don't like this movie enough to stay. I'll go meet you for lunch. Then I went back a second time, went in 20 minutes late because I left 20 minutes the first time, and I am kind of ashamed to admit I didn't get to the very end. Like I knew we were wrapping up, and so I left. There was probably 5 or 10 minutes left, but
Yeah, you got where I was
damn,
headed.
unfortunately, this movie just doesn't work. It's so like, and you know me, and I love
Owens
sex
and
and movies and crude nudity like that. That's my wheelhouse. I love that stuff. But this feels like those movies where they're just doing it to try and get shock value as opposed to making it organic with the story, right? So it's like
yeah.
it's just obnoxious with the dildos and the sex toys and the
It's two lesbian main characters, right? And they're
and
just
yeah,
friends.
and they're just friends, and they do well enough. But Margaret Qualley, I love her, but the Southern accent she's trying in here just doesn't work. I don't know if that's because I live in the South and I hear the Southern accent a lot, but man, her Southern accent is super super thick and really just inauthentic. She just can't pull it off, or didn't pull it off in this. Um, it's a hard thing to get right. Just like
Hmm.
Boston accent, New York accent, Midwest accent, Canada accent.
I can do
Um,
all those
the
accents, but
redneck Southern accent, it just doesn't sound right coming out of her lips. Like I see her, and it felt like she's doing an
and she
accent.
doesn't
It'd
really
be like,
look
yeah,
like.
she doesn't. Right, her look just isn't Southern. It's set kind of in the late '80s, early or '90s, and there's some laughs. It did get a few laughs out of me at a couple points, but yeah, it just doesn't work. It's unfortunate. It's only an hour and like 24 minutes. It's rated R. It's pretty crude. Lots of sex jokes, and um, there's a little bit of sex with that. And that's the other thing. It's like there's not really sex. It's like sex jokes and dildos and stuff, but
Hmm.
not actual characters having sex. And if they do, it's just like showing them making out. So it kind of is like, I don't know. If you're gonna go that route, then go all the way.
Make
And
it that kind of movie.
Yeah, make it that kind of movie. We've seen Margaret Qualley in sexually explicit movies. She's, she was in a really great one. I forgot the name of it. It's a foreign language film. It was excellent last year. Then she was also in that one where she is a dominatrix with what's his name? Sanctuary or
Sanctuary with
Sanctuary.
Yeah, Sanctuary.
But so anyway, so we know she's so it's not a thing where she's uncomfortable with a camera on her. So it was just kind of strange. So yeah, unfortunately, Drive-Away Dolls just doesn't work. I do hope this. I hope there is lesbians out there that find this and find this to be like their jam, like how Bottoms or what's the one with the Jewish girl and she has to go to that
Shiva Baby?
Shiva Baby, Bottoms, like those movies, that like a crowd is going to find and absolutely love those movies. I hope the same happens here. It just didn't work for me. So that's Drive-Away Dolls. I gave it 2 stars.
But it sounds like their marketing, the marketing then was way off.
I think it was.
Because when I saw it, to me the trailer looked like something like Bad Times at El Royale, and that's what I thought we would get. I haven't seen it, but so to hear all this, it sounds like Cock Blockers, that comedy.
It is more like Cock Blockers than a fun crime romp. So that's what I thought. So the story is they rent a car to drive from New York or something down to Tallahassee, Florida. Yeah. There's something in the trunk that doesn't belong to them, that belongs to the mob. A politician wants something.
So there's
Hangover. Let's say there's a body part and then there's some other stuff that's in the trunk that this politician doesn't want to get out. The politician knows it exists. Somehow it's tied to him. It's a cameo from a famous actor too. So I know he sends his goons after them to get this out of the car because they rent a car and the car that they rent has this stuff in the trunk.
As if rental places don't check, the trunk.
It's a real stretch on how they end up with the car. Like the mob boss calls the car rental place and says, "Hey, I need this car to go to Tallahassee." These 2 girls walk in and say, "Hey, we need a car to go to Tallahassee." And the rental guy's like, "Well, you must be the mob people, even though you look like young lesbians, and the people that called me were obviously mob people." So it's silly. It's really silly. So yeah, it's a bummer. I don't want to take it away if someone loved this and thought it was hilarious, but man, it sucked. It really sucked.
You know who Margaret Qualley's mom is?
I do. The chick from Groundhog Day.
Yes, I love Andie MacDowell.
Yeah,
love her so much.
They kind of look alike,
Yeah.
Christopher Abbott. She was in Sanctuary with Christopher Abbott.
Yeah, I did look that up, but I didn't know I didn't know that was on. You were
worried
sorry,
that was what I was trying to get. All right, so let's move on to.
You are getting tired.
Yeah, so, I gotta go soon.
Yeah, so streaming now, or for rent is Argyle, which was in theaters, kind of a box office bomb, but you can watch it at home now. $200 million movie. You can rent it. Also, you can rent Perfect Days, which is another Oscar-nominated movie, and you can rent The Teacher's Lounge, which I did. Those are all rentable. Ricky Stenicki, I think it's called, with John Cena in a dress. It is going to be on Netflix this Friday. And then Poor Things is on Hulu now.
Yeah, I put that. That's on Hulu. Yep.
Okay,
so if you're in the US, you can now watch Poor Things for no extra cost on Hulu. Pretty cool.
Yes. I've seen a bunch of people doing that. Damsel is a new Millie Bobby Brown movie that's coming to Netflix this Friday. I'm sorry, Ricky Stenicki or whatever is going to be on Prime this Friday. It's a comedy with John Cena and a bunch of other comedians.
And, Zac Efron. It looks really good.
Zac Efron. And Damsel will be on Netflix on Friday with Millie Bobby Brown, Robin Wright, Angela Bassett, and there's dragons and princes and princesses, and I think it might be okay. Who knows? And then To Kill a Tiger is going to be on Netflix on Friday, and that's another one of the nominated movies for the Oscars, Best Documentary Feature, one that I haven't been able to see, so I'm excited to
let's watch this weekend.
That. Yes.
Try and get to it.
You awake enough to do coming to theaters?
Yeah. So coming to theaters, reviews are already out for Kung Fu Panda 4. And they're okay. I think they're like okay to positive. I haven't seen
Okay.
any of the Kung Fu Panda movies, but I don't have a problem with them.
76% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, thank you. Imaginary. I've been getting ads for this on Fandango. This is the
Me
next
too.
Blumhouse horror movie, I want to say.
Yep.
You know, the trailer says from the producers of Megan, and it's another Blumhouse horror movie with a little bear doll. It could be good. It could be forgettable. We'll see.
Yeah.
Cabrini is coming out. This one had my attention until I saw it was from Angel Studios, so it's probably going to be a religious pushing message movie, which fine. I'm just not that interested in that. And then Love Lies Bleeding. So I want to finish this one off because when I went to see Drive Away Dolls, I thought I was seeing Love Lies Bleeding because Love Lies Bleeding is a lesbian movie with Kristen Stewart and
I only know Kristen Stewart's in it.
Yeah, so Kristen Stewart and another actress, and I saw, I see bits and pieces of trailers because I try not to watch trailers. So I knew Kristen Stewart had a lesbian movie coming up, or a movie where she plays someone who's gay in it.
Jenna Malone, Katie O'Brien, Anna Baryshnikov.
Yeah, Anna Baryshnikov. So I will definitely be seeing Love Lies Bleeding and Imaginary before our next episode. And so, yeah.
Yeah, next week is my March break, so I'll be working days, so I will be seeing movies, and we can record at a normal time.
Okay, all right.
So
let me just do one last check, Mitch, to see if there's anything else that I missed as far as coming out. I think I got them all. Yeah, Perfect Days is still near me.
Yeah. Yeah, keep an eye out. Like, Oscar movies are like all around you, probably, like in weird theaters. Yep. Like, I've seen Poor Things coming back, and all this, like,
Anatomy of a Fall is showing by me.
Yeah. So if there's some of these you want to catch, just check some of your local theaters, and you might be able to find some of these. But and then I'm going to, and I promise I will do this sometime this week, I will post where you can stream all the streamable Oscar nominees.
That's a good idea.
I will do that. I usually do that every year. I will do that as soon as I can and give links and everything. So keep an eye out on our socials, and I will share that soon.
So Mitch, I need your help answering this while we're still recording.
Okay.
I just realized, because you mentioned it a second ago, that The Eternal Memory is nominated, you said, right?
Yes.
So that
is.
It's what?
I'm able to see that.
Yeah, so that's showing by me tomorrow, and it looks like only tomorrow. I hope not. Or I'll go see The Four Daughters. Or sorry, The Teacher's Lounge.
The Teacher's Lounge.
Yeah, what should I do, man?
I've heard. I mean, I think you will like The Teacher's Lounge.
Okay. I think so too. I kind of think so too.
I haven't seen Eternal Memory yet. I will be watching it.
Is Four Daughters another nominated one?
Yes, it's a documentary. Brian reviewed it today. He didn't really like it. Said it's a little slow, but
yeah, I've heard about it. I know what the premise is. So yeah. Okay, all right. Well, I'll make a decision. Maybe I'll do a 2 for one of these days, because it's crunch time. I gotta see this stuff.
I'd love you to see Teacher's Lounge. Honestly, okay. If I had to pick, it'd be Teacher's Lounge all the way, because it's definitely an interesting one, and that would be so worth talking about with you. So
okay, cool. All right, let's do it.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Follow us on YouTube and all that jazz. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Hollywood Persona podcast. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at The Hollywood Persona. Feel free to email the show at thehollywoodpersona@gmail.com, and make sure to rate, share, and follow on whatever platform you're listening to our show on. It's the little things that help. Thank you.
Said rape.
And you little shithead, you're staying here.